Welcome to the Always Better Than Yesterday podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Hartley. This podcast exists to equip and inspire your heart-centered leadership. Every week, we bring interviews with some of the greatest heart sets and mindsets on the planet. I hope the heartprint of our time spent together is that it creates new possibilities for you and all those you come into contact with. If you'd like to explore what we could make possible for you, then head to abty.co.uk/connect and book in a free 30-minute call to begin our journey together. I just want to express a huge amount of gratitude to our sponsors, Exhale Coffee. I have been a big fan of Exhale Coffee since meeting Alex and the team back in 2022. Exhale is the first coffee to be sourced, roasted and lab tested specifically to maximize its antioxidant and anti-inflammatory potency. An independent lab test has shown that 1 cup of Exhale Coffee has the same antioxidant power as 1.8 kilos of blueberries or 55 oranges. I'm a huge fan, and Mrs. H loves the decaf, especially because she knows that Exhale use the mountain water decaffeination process, which uses only pure glacial water from the highest mountain in Mexico and no nasty chemicals. Simply head to exhalecoffee.com/ABTY for your special offer. And lastly, before I introduce this week's guest, please do subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. It would really help us leave a greater heartprint on this world. On episode 269, what a joy it is to welcome Lorena Bernal to the podcast. Lorena is a life coach, mindfulness expert, and founder of Live, Love, Better. Lorena was born in Argentina before moving to Spain as a young child. She began modelling at the age of 7 and took her first acting class aged 11. Lorena was crowned Miss Spain in 1999 before competing in Miss World and built a successful entertainment career which took her to Hollywood, appearing on screens as an actress and TV host across Spain and the US. Lorena's multifaceted career as a model, actress, life coach, entrepreneur and a mother has given her a unique perspective on what it means to find happiness and purpose. As a life coach and spiritual coach, Lorena supports individuals through the transformative process of achieving their goals and becoming their authentic selves. Drawing on her personal and professional experience, Lorena also offers support to celebrities and their families on navigating the pressures of life in the public eye, as well as corporate coaching for organizations wanting to enhance the personal growth and mental health of their leaders and employees. Lorena currently resides in the US, Spain and in the UK, where she continues the development of her career and shares her life with her 3 sons and her husband, professional football manager Mikel Arteta. It's a great conversation. It's episode 269 with Lorena Bernal. Lorena, welcome to the Always Better Than Yesterday podcast. How are you?
Thank you. I'm very good. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be with you today.
Well, I took one look at your website and I saw the very top of your page, and it's like, well, we're very like-hearted human beings. You talk about opening the heart. This everything is coming from this source of love, and I was like, right, we're gonna have a fantastic conversation. But I know enough about people to know that when they really get this sense of purpose in their heart, this real mission and purpose, sometimes that's put there because of either experiences or pain. And I'd love to know kind of your story. I'd love to know where this grand vision, this grand mission that you have with alleviating suffering of humanity, like, where does that get crafted?
How long do we have?
we got time, right? I'm here for it.
I mean, to make it short, I would say it comes from all of that together. I lived many different lives in the short life I've lived already. I was born in Argentina. I grew up in a culture with a humble family in South America, and then I moved to Spain, to another culture. I studied in France, a different culture. I started working very early on my passion, that was entertainment, as a model, as an actress. When I was 7, I started working. So I was introduced to a completely different world, or a bubble. Then I was a mom. I got 3 kids. So that introduced me to a completely new world. Then my husband is in the sport industry. That's a different world, right? So I've lived in completely different worlds, different cultures, languages, and especially ways of seeing life.
Yeah.
So it's amazing how we all have just one life, and depending on where you are and your experience and what you have lived or learned, you see that life in a completely different way. And I also observe that wherever you are in success level, or in sports or in Hollywood or in a poor country or whatever, it doesn't match with happiness. It's not successful people are happy and unsuccessful people are not happy. That is not true, right? So I observed that and I experienced that, and I witnessed all of that myself. And then I always had a very a huge passion for human beings, for emotions. I remember myself crying when I was a kid, and I would go to the mirror and observe myself crying. Why am I crying? How am I crying? Right? So that took me to the acting, and also to the observing and analyzing the emotions. Or I would see, I don't know, my parents fighting. Instead of being scared as a kid, I would observe them. I was always an observer of emotions and of people. So I got to a point in my life where I kind of reached the success I wanted since I was a kid in every area in my life. And I realized that I was very happy, but I wasn't happier than before when I didn't have the success, right? So that started a search, and a search of putting all that into words in order to teach others. Hey, you can be happy no matter where you are. You can be happy. I've seen it. I've been it. And so I started study to be able to spread the message to other people.
How did you protect yourself? Like, because it's very easy, isn't it, to take your sense of self from the world, whether your modeling career, your competitions with the Miss World and Miss Spain, acting, it's very easy to equate sense of self with the success, the identity, the roles that you play in life. And I have a Christian faith which talks about being in the world, not of the world. Not finding my identity within that of the world. Is that something that you found, from a very early age, that you had a clear sense of self beyond those things, or did you have to learn through a spiritual path how to detach identity from things of the world?
I have always had a very calm heart, but I wasn't aware of that, right? So every experience I was putting to, I would take them from peace, from calm. People would joke with me saying, "What did you take? Like, did you take a pill before going?" No, I'm not taking anything. But I always had some kind of trust. So eventually, when I grew up and I started to realize that not everyone is like that, or maybe they were like that when they were kids, but they lose it on their path, I started to observe it from a more mature point of view. And I started to analyze it. And I think the key was I've never identified myself with an identity, because I had so many that if I would pick one, it wouldn't be truthful to who I was. So I kind of grew up with no identity. So when I was, I don't know, a model, I would act as a model, but not believing I was that. Or when I don't know. So and that's actually a great thing, because you don't have.
Imagine that gave you freedom of expression.
Not at the beginning,
Right.
because you tend to act like others act.
Sure.
And you tend to okay, so if they're doing this, it's because you have to do this, right? Um I always compare my vision of how what happened to me with a tree, right? I was like the tree growing towards the sun, right? Like the sunlight was like I was growing towards that. But then I got to a point where I went to the roots, to the darkness of the roots, to the introspection, to the analyzing myself, and then the roots grew. How do you say?
Yeah, deeper.
Deeper, lower, right? With no sunlight. And then is when I discovered really who I was. And then when I went back up, you were talking about protecting, I realized there's nothing to be protected from. Because at the beginning, yes, you protect yourself. You don't want anyone to trouble who you are inside, right? And you are hurt and you are harmed, and you don't want to suffer. Like we all do that since we begin to get hurt when we're kids. Like we all are hurt when we're kids. That's inevitable, right? So you start protecting yourself. But if you do some work, you realize there's nothing to be protected of, then you open yourself and you are just vulnerable but strong. So you go to the world with an open heart, knowing that there's nothing that can hurt you.
You've just described beautifully what Maureen Murdoch shared with me a couple of weeks ago. So Maureen is the author of a wonderful book called The Heroine's Journey. It's a feminine response to the hero's journey made famous by Joseph Campbell. And in it, she says that the heart of the heroine's journey is to reconnect with her soul and herself. She puts herself in the abyss. It's almost like she puts it's like water. You go into the abyss where you get to the real dark, but then she meets herself and then ascends as the goddess. And the final stage of the journey is learning how to integrate all parts of ourselves. And I was listening to your interview on BBC recently, the World Meditation Day, and you said something very interesting that caught my attention, which is about resolving the duality within ourselves. I think that kind of spoke to me about integration, that resolving the duality in ourselves. What did you mean by that?
By duality, I always mean brain and heart, right? Like we are having a human experience, right? And we have a brain and we have a heart. When we are little kids, we are all heart. It's us. We just love everything, everyone. We are curious. We love life.
Yeah.
We, instead of walking, we jump. We ask questions. We are naked. We don't care. We just love life, right? As we grow and we see suffering and we see that maybe our parents don't see us or they don't hear us, or you have to hide feelings, and you start learning how to be a human, you start going from that love, from that heart, to your mind, to your brain, who is understanding how to survive your environment. If you grow up in the jungle, your mind is observing how to interact with the jungle things, right? But if you grow up in this society, like in the city, you understand how people interact with each other, and you start seeing that they normally lie to each other because no one is authentic. And so as a child, you start observing that, and you start seeing that you cannot really be yourself. You need to hide whatever you're feeling because no one is going to listen to you anyway. So you start having that inner world hidden and hidden and hidden, and you go to your mind, you go to your brain, logic, planning, understanding, comparing, judging, and you live from there, and there's no heart anymore. If you realize this at a certain point in your life, that duality would be, okay, my mind is one self that I have inside, and my heart is another self that I have inside that is hidden or protected because it's really like vulnerable.
Yeah.
So that is the duality. And what I preach, what I say is the more we go back to our hearts,
Mm.
the happier we will be.
Yeah.
There's no more secret. It's not like you don't need to go into the darkest places in the world and suffer. No, when you realize there's a you, there's a self, there's an I inside,
Mm.
hidden, but witnessing and observing everything your mind is doing. Because your mind controls everything. It controls your thinking, it controls your reactions, it even controls your emotions and your feelings. It's not the heart controlling emotions and feelings, it's the
Mm.
mind.
Mm.
So when you realize that duality, you can start connecting more to that heart, to that true self.
Mm.
And that's when you open up and you live the same life, but
Yeah.
from a completely different point of view.
Different spirit. Yeah, I 100% agree. I remember there's a one-liner in a book by a guy called David Hawkins, and it basically said that the mind has an inherent defect in that it is a perception tool. And in that perception, it has to perceive that there's a you and there's a me and we're separate. And it automatically puts things into duality. It automatically separates things. And I think we in our Western culture or have put the mind on a pedestal. We've made intellect and reasoning king. You know, our universities and the things we've championed the intellect. And I think it's not this or that. It's not heart or mind. I think it's the integration of the both. It's and. But I personally think that there's an ordering. When I talk about heart centered, it's not just heart. It's not like sit around and play guitars and worship and sing and do all the nice fluffy stuff. It's the heart and then the mind. Because when we can connect with this sense of self, this I, this beyond separation, this oneness and wholeness that I have within me, I'm not believing the mind's belief that I am separate from all of life. My heart knows, it senses, it feels that I am one with all things. I lack nothing. I have all that I need. I'm abundant. I'm provided for. And then when the heart hands that over to the mind goes, all right, well, what's the best way of being in the world? What's the best strategy and plan to living like that is true rather than seeking everything I might believe to fill the lack and the void? So it all comes down to whether we believe the lie of separation or whether we truly believe that we're connected to a life source greater. And I saw that you did a workshop recently that says, what is the source of your drive? And I think
Mm-hmm.
that's really interesting. And I'd love to know your perspective because I truly believe that it comes down to two sources. And I'd love to know, before I say anything, I'd love to know what your perspective on source of
Yeah,
drive.
what you were saying before, with the mind and the heart wanting to do something, and then the mind start kicking. I would say that it's not about wanting to just be a heart, right? Because we are humans. We
Yes.
are not in the spirit world. We are on
Yes.
earth, right? So
Yes.
we
Yes.
have to embrace our mind. It's amazing.
Yes.
With our mind is where when we can feel the senses, like the smell, the to
Yep.
listen to music, the touch, the taste. It's
Yes.
beautiful as long as that doesn't control you. So it's
Yes.
not that it's two separate things. Is that one has to kind of take charge and control the other. It's like the
Mm.
computer. You need to be on the keyboard. You cannot go leave the computer to go on autopilot running all the programs. You go and you go where you want to go using your mind, because it's a beautiful thing. It's not that mind is evil. No, it's an amazing thing. But if you don't take charge of it, it's going to
Mm.
go on itself, on its own.
Yeah.
But it's beautiful what we can do with our mind. Is so powerful.
Yeah.
And the source of your drive, yes, it would go to this. It's like, is the source in your heart, because this is something you were meant to do, is your passion, and it grows in every cell in your body and in your heart? Or is something that comes in your head that I need to prove this because
Mm.
no one believed in me, or I need to prove my parents, and I need to prove to myself, or I need to reach success because
Mm.
only then I will be happy, because I feel lonely, I feel sad, and I don't understand this. So maybe if I reach success, I will get it. or I need to escape from something that happened to me, and it's chasing me. So although that source is the brain saying, you're not happy, you're not enough, you're not where you need to be, there's something else or someone else you need to be in order to be happy. But if the source is in the right place, it's a completely different approach.
And you can be highly successful, in inverted commas, living from that lack. You can be highly successful being driven by wanting to prove others wrong. But you're a mum. You've probably seen Madagascar, the TV the film. There's a scene in that bit where the penguins, they're trying to get to this destination, and they get where they think they want to get to, and then they look around and go, well, this sucks. And I think sometimes that's a great metaphor for what that type of drive success can bring us, is that we might have the house, we might have the wife, the husband, we might have the job, the cars, we might have the money, but something, if it's not actually built on love, we'll just look around and go, well, I'm trapped. I feel defined by my environment, and I'm stuck. I can't escape this, and ultimately, well, this sucks.
Yes, some people are really, really clever, and they avoid that sensation really well by working non-stop hours and be super social. And when you go to bed and you close your eyes and you are in silence with yourself, if you are extremely tired, you fall asleep, right? There's not even time to realize how lonely you feel or how empty you feel. But if you have those feelings when you go to bed, I feel lonely, I feel empty, even if you're successful, there's something you're not doing from the right source.
It's powerful, isn't it? I was recently speaking with Lewis Moody, who was one of the England's greatest ever rugby players. He was on the show a couple of weeks ago, and in it we talked about the well-being of some of his colleagues. I mean, he was of a different time, as in the 2000s. There really wasn't that degree of vulnerability in the changing room. It was like man up, crack on type stuff. And some of his colleagues, the most successful players of all time, but internally quite unhealthy. And I remember talking about footballer Wayne Bridge. I remember seeing him on a TV show called SAS Who Dares Wins. And the guy was having like a complete midlife crisis, identity crisis, because it was like, who am I beyond the things I've been doing in this world? I'm known and I am loved and I'm adored by people because of my footballing skills, my rugby playing skills, and all the things and like you say, at the end of the day, you come home and you meet face to face with yourself. And, you know, I guess that's where it comes down to, isn't it? Where do we place our identity? Where are we attaching ourselves, our sense of worth? And, you know, you walk alongside celebrities now in the work that you do. What perspective do you think you have that most people don't about the hearts and minds of those in the limelight in celebrity?
I mean, when you are inside this world, you see it in a completely different way. Normally, when you have a talent, it's like a creative talent or a sport talent, normally you are born with it and you feel that passion of doing it and expressing it, and that's who you are, right? But along the way, you turned that into a job, you turned that into a proving, you turned that into a showing my worth, or and you forget the passion. You forget that even if you do this and no one is looking and you're not earning money, you are happy. So we disconnect from that feeling. But it's just a matter of just reconnecting that cable, at least for a second, and realize that I would do this for free because this is really who I am, not the one that is on the magazines or on the photo shoots, or no, this is really how I feel fulfilled. So if you kind of connect again to that feeling, you start relaxing and you start not feeling the pressure of showing, of proving, or but yeah, it's sad that a lot of, I mean, it's not sad because I see that as an amazing opportunity to realize who you are. Like, I see it as a roller coaster, right? You choose, imagine you go to the park and you see the biggest, scariest roller coaster, and you pick that one, right? You know it's going to be scary, but you go anyways. And you go, there's loopings and there's down and there's ups, and then it finish, and it was maybe a minute. You look back and you say, oh, this was so short. Why didn't I enjoy it? Right?
Yes.
It's, and you don't have the opportunity to go back there because you're done. You're gone. Right? In this case, you die. Is life ends there, right?
This lifetime.
Yeah. So even if it's very scary, if you trust that you are safe in the thingy with the and you know that you like the thrill, even in the bad moments, the scary moments, you will be scared, but you will embrace it because you trust that you are where you wanted to be, and you know there will be ups and downs, and you enjoy. You even put your arms up and you enjoy the fear.
Yeah.
So in this case, with celebrities or with the people that are having a bad moment, or they're sad, or they are in a dark place, I feel that as the super down moment where you are the worst. So, but if in that moment you get to understand that this is the life you want because you're doing what you want, and that you're safe, and that you can do this because you are meant to do this, then it gives you a sense of, okay, confidence, and okay, let's enjoy even this.
Enjoy the ride. Yeah. Can I be grateful in the lion's den? It's fascinating. One of the most mind-blowing conversations I've had on this podcast was with a man called Neil Donald Walsh, and Neil wrote a series of books called Conversations with God, right? So his perspective is mind-blowing should we choose to take on board his ideas or the channeling that he received. And it says that God says to him that we are here to both create and experience who we say we are. That's our soul's purpose is here, is to both create and experience who we are. And it's funny because as you were just talking about, it's like, well, this is an opportunity to experience who you say you are. And, so often we don't really get to experience the depths of who we truly are without a bit of external pressure, without a little bit of, there's a phrase that says, you never know how deep a tree's roots go without, how deep the roots go by how hard the wind blows. I'll say that one more time. You know how deep the roots go by how hard the wind blows. And it's that needing of some external pressure for us to really actually experience this thing called a Lorena or a Ryan. It's like, how do I know who I am? How do I know what I like or what I stand for, what I care about, what I don't want? And when we start to look at these experiences as just that, as opportunities and a feedback mechanism so that we can experience that. And I think the one thing that is probably more prevalent in the circles that you surround yourself with is that there's an intensity of that pressure. For me, as I go about my daily job, there's not a lot of people just watching my every step, just waiting to see if I'll fall. There's that heart-centered leader, but he's not being very heart-centered today. If I had everybody watching my every single move, keeping me accountable, I mean, my wife does and my children. Oh, is that heart-centered, Dad? But there's a level of pressure and intensity that I imagine the people that you surround yourself with. And I guess, what is it then? Because how does one stay authentic and true to themselves? Because if there's anything I know about this spiritual stuff, that there is a warfare, that there is a spiritual warfare that will come in and it will make us doubt who we are. It will deceive us. It will distract us from the things that are really important. It will divide us, whether it be in relationships, marriages, homes. The enemy is going to come in and do funny things in a spiritual warfare. Long question. The shortest question of that is, with all that pressure, how do you stay true to who you are?
The pressure comes from yourself, though.
Yeah.
So and I surround myself with, yes, with celebrities and people that are in the spotlight, but also with just normal and common people. And they also have a lot of pressure, or CEOs from companies, or like the pressure comes from you. No one is putting pressure on you. No one. They just look at you. If you are in the magazines or on the page or on a film, they are looking at you, right? But accepting whatever you're giving to them. Yes, they will criticize, they will judge, but that goes again towards themselves. Like normally when you judge someone is because that someone is being a mirror or of what you think of yourself, or what you lack, or what you want. So the judgment and the criticism is towards yourself, using that image you have in front, an actor, the waiter, anyone, right? So it's not about taking things personally. It's about, if you are in the limelight, trying to do the work so everyone sees that this is life. Like life is about this, is about embracing who you are and enjoying who you are and being vulnerable. But if you're not in the limelight and you are a person that is a normal person, you can still do that with your world, your family, your kids, your community. But it starts by doing the work with yourself. There's nothing you will fix with yourself if the camera is towards the exterior. There's nothing you will fix.
It's all an invitation. It's
yes.
all an invitation to go within.
Totally, because everything is inside, like everything. And when you heal that inside, and when you are comfortable with that inside and in love with that inside, is when you expand towards the outside, and you can really touch people and change people and attract people. So that's the job I think we need to do. Everyone, no matter where you are.
Work of the heart, the greatest contribution we can make to this world. So I've been with my wife since I was 15. So we've been together since 2002, same as I think you and your husband. And it's a journey, right? When you journey with another human being and you have children and careers, it is a journey, and a fun journey. It's a learning journey. But one thing I've learned about being a coach is that I am not my wife's teacher. She does not give me permission to coach her. It's like there's this scripture that says Jesus couldn't be a prophet in his own town, and I'm like, I get what he's talking about. I cannot be a prophet in my own home. You and your husband are at the top level of what you do. Like, do you leave your professional identities at the door, or do you have permission to kind of coach and support each other? Like, let us into that dynamic.
I normally act with him as I act with everyone. Yes, I am a certified life coach. Yes, yeah. I'm a coach, okay? But I don't like to coach. I don't like to tell anyone what they need to do, or I normally, yes, eventually I have to guide them, right? To the places where they can realize stuff on their own, right? But normally what I do in my daily life with my husband and with everyone is embracing what I preach, embracing what I say. And if they see me, they feel me peaceful, calm, enjoying my life, embracing even the bad moments and the problems, then is when, first of all, they feel peace next to you. And then is when they ask you, but how do you do it? Like, how can you be so calm when you have this and this and this and this and this going on? How you're not scared? And then you can tell them, right? So that's how I do with my family. Obviously, with my clients, I don't mention how I do it, but you
live it.
But I live it, and the questions I ask or the way I approach it is for them to realize that they can also be on that state. There's no way you can. Yeah, sorry.
Go on.
No, I was saying there's no way you can coach someone to be happy if you're not. And it's not, and being happy in the good moments, it's easy. I mean, being happy, being loved, being joyful, being calm. How can you help someone to get there? You can accompany them towards there while at the same time they accompany you. But I think that we as coaches, we need to do the job in us and forget about our partners.
Yes.
That will come organically.
Yes, I agree with you. And that's testament to what it says on your website, which is that you embody this stuff. You embody this, live, love better. And that's powerful, isn't it? I remember sharing a few years ago on the podcast, like almost like a hierarchy of influence, like the very lower level of the hierarchy, particularly from a leadership perspective, people will follow because they have to. You know, it's your position, it's your role, it's your title. I'll do what you ask me to because I have to. Not really much of a choice. There's no real influence involved. Then a little bit higher up, there's like, okay, well, I'll follow you because, you know, you've got great results. You seem to be doing good things. You seem to get good results. I'll follow you because I want those results too. The highest form of influence, I think, is just through who we are being. Like every energetic exchange is a ripple effect of actually that is someone that is wise, that is like compassionate, empathetic. They are embodying the spirit of that which I want to, and therefore I give that person the permission to lead me. It's almost like leadership is. I interviewed a guy called Dr. Gordon Neufeld. It's all about parenting, and it shocked me to my core because it said like, you don't get to become the best parent. You don't get to become a parent because you want to be the best parent. It's the child that sets the context. They will give you the permission to parent if they feel like there's a connection. I was like, oh, okay. And that's the same true of leadership, I think, is that people will willfully follow us if they feel like they're safe and protected or inspired within our care.
It is, but I would add that there is leadership in work, right? In work, in school, in business. But in human experience, I don't really believe in leaders. I believe in examples that have reached a point before you, but you can reach it too.
Right.
It's not that no one is more special than anyone or have more power or more tools than anyone. We are all completely equal in that sense. And this is very beautiful words, but it's true. We are all equals. We have the same capacities, the same power, the same spirit, the same energy. So if you see someone that inspires you, instead of asking them to lead you, just get inspired by them and think, if he or she has done this, then I can do it too. So as in this case, as a leader, as you were saying, instead of showing them your power, you empower them to go there themselves, because that's what we all want. I mean, the healthy way of living, I guess, is not having leaders and have people underneath, but to have everyone high and up to their highest potential. And then, like, you do this because you are better at this, and you do this because you are better at this. But as human beings, we are all at the same level. In a career, in business, in the matter stuff, yes, you have leaders that have done it, that were successful in their careers, and then you learn from them because they have more experience than you. But we tend to, even parenting, we tend to use parenting and living the same way we use career or work. And this is not a job. Living is not a job. Having kids, parenting is not a job. We don't need to reach numbers. We don't need to be successful. We don't need data in order to know what works and what doesn't work. And we tend to see life, parenting, and work as the same thing. And it's not. And I think that's a big mistake we we make, and that doesn't allow us to relax and be happy in our lives.
Yeah, great insights. This have you then taken like, I wonder whether you have these conversations as a family as to, what's important to you all as a collective, your values, your culture. It's very easy to do these types of conversations in sports, teams, businesses. What are our core values? What are our,
Yes.
what are our, I apply that same approach within the family, but just more from a sense of identity. It's just, we have a little mantra, which is just, we're Heartleys, we help people, we're kind, and we share our gifts with the world. 3 very simple mantras that my 11 and 9-year-old just know that that's who we are. And go ahead.
Yeah, no, I love that. But if that comes from choosing who we are, it's coming from your mind telling you that this is the right thing to do. And you learn that a lot when you live in different cultures or different religions or different countries or they have different values, different morals, different ways of approaching each other. And there's no right or wrong in the way of being.
Yeah.
So when you create an identity with your family, it's like you're creating an identity with a sport team, right? But that's competition. We are not competing with anyone.
Yes. Yes,
So
about expression.
the biggest value should be courageous to just be who you are.
Yes. 100%. I agree with you, because it's about, for me, I'm as a parent, I look at my children and they're so different, like the same parents, but so personality different. So it's made me just realize, wow, my role as a parent is to nurture their nature, is to nurture the inherent gifts, skills, talents, personality, the things that light them up, and try and give them the opportunities to flourish. Like, I'm not able to control their destiny. I can't make them want it because I want it for them. I'm trying to surrender my will and have the eyes and ears to provide the opportunities for them to express.
I think I totally agree, and we tend to wanting to fix our kids. And I would say our first role as parents would be shut up and learn from them.
Right. Wisdom. Yeah, wisdom.
They know how to live in their hearts. They know how to be happy. They move, they are noisy, they jump. Of course, they don't know how to be steady in a classroom, learning from a book. Of course, they don't know how to have manners. No, but they know how to be happy. We need to learn from them.
My daughter just wants to love on animals. Like, she just loves animals. She wants an entire farmyard of animals. And it's funny because the adults then say, oh, well, you need to be a vet. And it's interesting because that's taking her straight out of her heart, putting her into it. She just wants a sanctuary full of animals that she can cuddle all day long. She will love those animals back to life. But it's funny,
exactly.
isn't it?
So our role would be not damage that truth, but tell them from a wise point of view, listen, this is the world you are going to experience. We are on Earth. We are humans, right? So I'm going to teach you how to live in this environment. So I'm teaching you lessons of how to be social, but not because you are wrong or because you need to be fixed. Keep yourself as you are, but these are the rules of the game. So play them as you. That should be our role, I think.
And that's the journey of why it's powerful to have someone like your good self, because that sometimes it's hard to see with absolute clarity. But what is a you? What is a me? What is an I? Who am I? And that's one of the toughest questions that most people get faced with. Is like, well, who are you? And if you don't go on this journey of introspection and seeking, that's where having someone like you is extremely powerful, because I'm sure you'll create an environment with which people get to explore the depths of themselves.
With just a little exercise, like close your eyes and remember when you were a kid,
Yeah,
when you were 4, 5,
yeah,
immediately you know who you are.
yeah.
Immediately. And then you go from there. Or leaders, the kids can be leaders, can be inspiring beings of
Mm,
they don't need to do anything to be successful. They are already successful and
mm,
unashamed
mm.
and confident
Yeah.
until we damage them, kind of. but
Right. Yeah. Inadvertently. Yeah, we're all good.
yeah, but it's part of the journey too.
Yeah,
Like
100%.
it's part of the journey. But I think if you can, first of all, start with yourself, right? And the more people you can touch or you can help them to make the shift, it
Mm,
spreads and it will inevitably create a better world. And that should be the objective of every single person. That should
mm.
be seen as success, creating
You're,
a better world.
yeah, yeah. Are your three boys teenagers?
I have one teenager, he's
Yeah,
15, and
yeah.
then 12. So, yeah, kind of the 12-year-old is a teenager too, and a 9-year-old.
It's an interesting time to raise children, boys. It's a very interesting time, particularly for parents. You know, it's and you
Yes,
support
and yeah.
parents and you support educators. There's educators listening to this show. There'll be parents listening to this show. Right? What are some of the ways that's helping you navigate these times with young people?
Um, I decided to touch all the areas like parenting, business, da, 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 because I believe it all starts from the same place. It's just
Mm-hmm,
that you
mm-hmm,
apply it differently, right? So in parenting, we need to focus more in ourselves, in our fears, in our way of seeing life, in our
mm-hmm,
way of seeing success before focusing on teaching our kids. Because if we teach them from the wrong place, we are confusing them.
mm-hmm,
They see us, they feel us in a way we don't even imagine. They've
mm-hmm.
seen us in our worst, in our most vulnerable moments. They see us with other people. They see us when we're wearing the mask, and they feel everything we feel. So
Mm-hmm.
don't come with BS trying to teach them, no, you need to do this and this and this because only here you will be happy and successful. And when they are seeing you, but mom or dad, you're not happy. You come home and you are exhausted, you are miserable, you
Yeah,
are tired, stressed, angry. You are going to teach me? And a teenager that thinks they know everything, do you think
yeah,
they're going to take your words seriously? If you're showing them every single day you're not there.
yeah,
So the approach is very interesting to observe. Where are you approaching your parenting from?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And to do that work and that introspection and to have those conversations, for me, is fascinating.
yeah.
And I know that with little changes, the whole dynamic and energy of the house can change, because the kids, even if they're teenagers, they are open and would be really happy to have a happy dad and a happy mom, pure of love,
Yeah,
seeing them, hearing them,
yeah,
wanting to be with them,
yeah.
and embracing them.
100%. Yeah, I love that. I said on LinkedIn quite playfully, I think a while ago, just said, you know, what I truly believe that we will have a generation of young people that will not kill themselves for work. They will not work all hours God sends them. Why? Because they saw their parents do it and they weren't very happy. And in many respects, parents ended up separating because of the pressures, the stresses, the arguments. And they're like, I don't want that. I don't want to do that. And the world will label them as lazy generation. So right, in reality, we're just shaping a different set of values, different set of priorities that these people have, ultimately shaped by their formative years of what they would rather have
Yeah,
had happen.
yeah, yeah. And it's sad because the world needs to keep going, right? And I don't know, in many places now they don't have waiters, they don't have plumbers, they don't have electricians, they don't have like a lot of jobs that require a lot of work and time
Mm.
and energy. Like a lot of young people don't want to do that, right? Because I don't know, I think we are all confused. We
Yeah,
are confused. The
yeah,
young people are confused, the parents are confused, the leaders are confused,
yeah,
and it's really hard
yeah.
to put together something in common. But if we would go, I know it's very idealistic, but if we would all go a little bit more to our hearts and try to disconnect the brain,
Mm.
we would realize we can breathe, we can pause, and we can together put together a new way of living and a new way of dealing with the world,
Mm.
instead of going as robots in autopilot, doing and doing and doing and doing something that we are seeing is not working. Because, and I say it's not working not because of the economic crisis or the climate change, or as well, no, but I'm saying it's not working because people are not happy.
Yeah.
And I think it's not worth it to live the life we have, that is quite short, unhappy
Mm.
and not enjoying it. I think it's not worth it. But yeah,
Yeah, I was told that our external world, our external circumstances are a projection of the internal condition.
totally, totally, yes.
Mm.
But it's a great moment. It's a great opportunity. I always, I don't know, my little one loves to do Legos, right?
Yeah,
And sometimes he messes up or he do something, and what we do is we rip it apart completely.
yeah,
So it's again a mess,
yeah,
but let's build it again from the
yeah.
beginning, and more focus and knowing what we want to do, right? So
Mm.
sometimes we need that chaos as an opportunity to see, okay, how we're doing things is not
Mm.
working anymore. Let's change. Let's look to other paths, other ways, and see if it works.
I imagine if it hasn't happened already, you'll be embracing yourself for a conversation that one of them says, "I want to be like Dad. I want to be a professional footballer." Like, what conversation do you sit down and have with them about? Do you really, son? Like,
I mean, I don't have a way of dealing with things that is written on my manual of doing
yeah,
things.
yeah, you're winging it basically. Is what you're saying.
Yes, so I go very like organically
From the heart. Sorry,
to,
that's what I meant.
yes. So, but normally what happens is we have conversations
Yeah,
when they start them, when they start them with a question, because I believe like when a kid asks a question, like a question, right?
yeah,
There is something going on in there that you have the opportunity to put together with them.
yeah.
So I only sit with them and have a conversation when I see there is already something going on in there that they want to
Mm.
know.
Mm.
Um, when they do comments like "I want to be a football player" or "I want to da da da," I support that. Like I tried not to deny them the joy of imagining themselves being or doing
Yeah,
whatever
yeah,
they
yeah,
want. Who
yeah,
am I
yeah, yeah,
to
yeah,
darken that dream, right?
yeah, yeah,
But then if they ask, "Mom, what do I need to eat, or what do I need to do in order to do this?" then it's
yeah.
a great opportunity for me to talk about health, to talk about taking care
Mm.
of your body, to talk about discipline, consistency, to talk about why do you want to do this? Do you
Mm.
need the applause? Do you need the money? Or what is it? And my son the other day, he answered, because we had a conversation, that he said, because I feel free when I play football. I say,
Come
oh my
on.
God, yes, that
Yeah,
okay,
yeah, yeah.
okay. But at the same time, let's study. Let's do
Yeah,
this because this is what in this society we need to do. So let's do it at the same time. But and I don't know. I we don't have the answers. I don't have the answers. I don't even have the answer of what is good for me or what I want or I don't know. I have hopefully the next half of my life in front of my eyes. So who are we to tell them what to do, how to do it? Especially if it comes from fear of them suffering. But if it comes from, listen, this is how the world works, right?
yeah,
You need to have a job because you
yeah,
need to
yeah,
earn some money and you need to learn discipline and you need to wake up every day at 7 in the morning and go work.
yeah,
And not because this is gonna, maybe yes, maybe not make you successful, but it's good for you to go through these
yeah.
feelings so you understand how the world works, and then you decide what to do, if this is for you or not. But I don't know, it has to, everything we tell them, I believe, has to come from wisdom, from calm, not from fear of not being a good parent or of them not being happy.
I agree with you. I
Because
think,
we know, and I'm going to add this,
yeah,
we know how to parent. Like we have the wisdom inside of us.
yes,
Everyone has it. We just need to trust it a little bit more.
100% innate wisdom. I think sometimes we can pick up a parenting book and actually realize that we know less about our children. The intuition is replaced by intellect, and it's like we start to question our own innate abilities. I think if we were listening
Mm.
back to this podcast conversation, there's little bits that have answered every single bit of what I've just asked you about that situation with your child, because you talked about the feeling and talked about the energy, then you talked about doing it for the fun and the love rather than as a job, and being unattached to it as well. And isn't that the thing? Isn't it? It's about we attach the outcome. In reality, just go play football for the love of it. Go and you know go and become the best you can be. Like if you can, whatever it is you want to set your heart on, whatever you're devoted to, the discipline will follow from that devotion. Whatever we set our hearts on, our mind will find a way to figure out. I've left it this long to disclose that my son and I were Chelsea fans.
Okay. Good luck.
We've been suffering. We have been suffering the last few years. Yeah. So yeah, I imagine it's been an interesting couple of years in your household, and learning how to come home with the spirit raised in defeat is, I'm sure, has been a lesson or two that's been mastered over the career.
Yes, yes. But everything is a lesson, really. Everything.
Yeah.
If you want to take it as a lesson, you can learn from everything, or even from your reactions to those things.
Yeah.
That's a very good lesson too.
Which I imagine the first thing you don't say to your husband is, "Oh, it's just a game." Like, I imagine that's something you've learned very quickly not to say.
um,
Or maybe you do. Maybe it's perspective.
I really don't remember, but I'm sure I've said it. But I've said it to him. I've said it to the CEO of a multi-billion company. It's just a job, you know. Because I mean, yes, everything is important, but really nothing is that important.
Yeah.
It's I really I normally pay attention more towards how people feel with football, for example, in this case, now how it brings families together, and how it's a great moment to enjoy, like dad and son, or with the granddad, or that's beautiful. That's beautiful, and to be able to offer that to people, it's
Yeah.
great. But besides that, yes, it's just football.
Is there anything about your work that I haven't asked you about that you'd love to share?
No, not especially. I mean, I just to say, and I like to say that I do this work because I discovered that it's very simple. It's really easy, and it's close to every single one of us. So we all have the opportunity and the chance to be calm, joyful, happy, and enjoying our lives. And I'm not saying this from a successful point of view, because I haven't always been where I am today. But I'm saying this from the point of view of someone that has been in many different places or levels, and I've seen it. Like, we all can do little shifts and enjoy our lives and our people and ourselves more. So sometimes we go to books, we go to courses, or we see people talking in a very complicated way. And actually, not English not being my first language is helping me a lot to simplify the concepts, because obviously I don't have like a huge vocabulary as a native English speaker. And it's really easy, it's simple, and it's you can do the shift very quick, and I really want people to realize that. So if I can touch one person, I'm happy, and if I can touch more people, I'm happy too.
Well, I am grateful that you speak English, because this podcast wouldn't have happened if it was down to Spanish, because I can't speak Spanish. A little bit of French, but not so much. I have a word here at Always Better Than Yesterday. It's called Heartprint. And the word symbolizes the effect that we have on others, the ripple effect that we have. Maybe there's a new thought, a new possibility. Maybe someone has a new self-awareness or an idea that they go put into place. And then all of a sudden, everything's changed from that point on. And I'd just love for you to take a moment just to reflect on what you hope your heartprint will be.
I have no I could say something, but I don't mind. I don't like. It's not that my work is gonna be successful if I leave a heartprint. If I do, I would love it to be living your heart and truthful to who you are, because the world needs you. But I believe everyone can be a teacher. Everyone, if you are open to it, everyone can plant seeds on you that will flourish at the right moment. I don't know.
It's interesting what happens when you become unattached to outcomes, isn't it? Because because that's exactly what I felt from you, which is like, all is well, all is well, and that is the essence of living from the heart. Is yeah, I understand. I meet you where you are, my friend. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for all your good work that you're doing in the world. Where can people find out more about your work? I'll add all the links in the show notes.
Okay, yes, I founded the company Live, Love, Better. We do events. I write a blog every month, like 4 or 5 articles. And we're gonna start expanding. Maybe we do courses online or events online. And it's and then as a coach, there's also my website. And my work is about what I just talked about, right? Helping people to live, love better.
Love it. Be honored if you leave us a final thought from your good self.
A final thought. I said it already. The world needs you. We need your talent. We need your way of thinking, your way of loving, your way of moving. We need your creativity or your logically wisdom, or we need you. So get rid of whatever is not you in you and give us you, because your family needs you, your kids needs you, your community needs you, and the world needs you. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here.
Let's go. What a call to action. Lorena, thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Hey, my friends, thank you for making it to the end. I hope that our time spent together today has left you a little bit better than before you push play. I'd really appreciate if you just took a moment to leave a review to allow me to meet more people where they are and hopefully leave them a little bit better too. If you're curious to know how I, through Always Better Than Yesterday, can serve you, your team, your organisation, then head to alwaysbetterthanyesterday.com to connect. And while you're there, let me know one or two things that you're going to do as a result of listening to this conversation. I absolutely love hearing your thoughts, your reflections, and the things that this spark in your own heart and mind. If you want more insights from my heart and mind, I do send out short episodes on a Monday, Tuesday, Thursday and Friday, and again, I hope that they serve you well. I appreciate you listening. I'm Ryan Hartley, host of the Always Better Than Yesterday podcast, a podcast for heart-centered leaders just like you. Keep leading, my friends. Always love.